Hi guys, in this tutorial we're going to be looking at a different command which have not been introduced to you in any of the previous tutorial. And just as a way of refreshing, or let's just call this a refresher, okay? So far in this course, we've looked at select. And I believe if you've been following this tutorial, by now you know what select is. We've looked at select. We have also looked at from. We've looked at where clause, where, and then we've looked at group by. We've looked at group by. These are the commands we have looked at so far. And we have looked at order by. But in this tutorial, I want to introduce to you another command, another clause, and that is called having. Okay, so what we want to look at is having. So what exactly is having command? What does it do? Where do we use having? Okay, so I'm going to get rid of all of this, and let's quickly look at these requirements. So um, let's say we want to know the number of employees working in each department. Okay, so we'll do something like this. It says select the number of employees working in each department. Of course, we want to see the department in the select line. We want to select department, and when we select department, we want to count all. So we say count all. Where are we selecting from? From employees, from employees table. So select department, count all from employees. Okay. Now, anytime you have a non-aggregate column together with an aggregate column, what is a non-aggregate column? Department in this case is a non-aggregate column, but count all is an aggregate column. Okay. So anytime you have a non-aggregate column together with an aggregate column, of course we have to group by. So we group by departments. Group by department. Okay, so let's run this and see what we have. We want to see two columns, select department, count all records, break them down into departments. So we want to see how many employees working in each department. So let's run and see what we have. So we have in pharmacy, we have 27 departments. In pharmacy, 38 employees. In children clothing department, we have 47. In camping, we have 36. Like that. So, um, where do we bring in this having? How do we use this? So I want us to use this example. Let's say we already have this output and I still want to filter this output. I want to filter this report. Maybe I don't want to display or return any department that has less than 47 employees. So I don't want to see pharmacy because pharmacy is less than 47. I don't want to see camping because camping is less than 47. I don't want to see games is less than 47. I don't want to see beauty because it's 45, it's less than 47. Tools is 39. Maintenance is 8. Cosmetics is 34, we have 34 employees working in cosmetics. So let's say I want to filter these results on this aggregate column. So I don't want to see any department with employees less than 47. So I can use my having clause and say group by department, having this column, having this column, the count star column, having this column, counter greater than or equals to 47. Okay, so let's see what we have. You see, now we have 7 rows. Children clothing, we have 47 employees. Um, let's let's give this an alias and call it maybe as uh, number number of employees. Let's call it number of employees. So let's run again. So number of employees. So number of employees working in children clothing is 47. Number of employees working in computers is 47. In device repair is 51. In clothing is 49. In toys is 47. In movies is 56. In first aid is 58. Now you see, based on this having condition, we say where counter greater than or equals to 47. What if we change this to where count or equals 47? So we only want to see those departments that have number of employees working in them to be 47. Let's see what we have. So we have just 3 departments. In children clothing, we have 47 employees. In computers, we have 47. In toys, we have 47. What if we say maybe greater than 50? Let's change this to greater than 50 and see. So we have 3 departments. Device repair, we have 51 employees. Movies, we have 56. In first aid, we have 58. Can we change this to 55 and see what we have? So having counter greater than 55. So we only have movies 56 and we have first aid 58. Okay, so the the way to use your having is anytime you want to filter your results or you want to filter your query based on an aggregate column. What do I mean by an aggregate column? It could be any of those aggregate function, like max, like mean, like average. We can use any of these. It doesn't have to be count all. Anytime you use any of these aggregate function and you want to use them, the aggregate column, to filter your results, that's when you use having. Okay, it's different from where is used to filter your record directly from the table. So we don't use where for an aggregate column. We use where for um, the columns you have in the table. So let's say I want to come here. Let's leave this for now. So I can still use my where clause from employees. My where can say where uh, departments, where department in maybe where department in clothing, say clothing, a department in clothing, sports, and which other department? Maybe movies. What else? Let's add one more department. Maybe first aid. First, first aid department. Okay. So we want to select department. We want to count all as number of employees from employees. Where department including sports, movies, and first aid. So you see we are using where clause to filter the number of records we want to see. So we only want to see in this report clothing department, sports, movies, and first aid. I'm not going to run this. Let me remove this having for now, just to show you the difference between where and having. Now I'm filtering on department column, which is a non-aggregate column. So I'm using where. I can't use having because department is a non-aggregate column. So I'm using where departments including sports, movies, first aid. So let's run this and say group by department. Now we have four rows. Why? Because we have limited the number of departments we want to see. We only want to see clothing, we want to see sports, we want to see movies, and we want to see first aid. So we have them. That's what we want to see. We only want to see those four departments because we used, I'm going to remove this to make space. So, okay. So we only want to see four departments and we have four departments. But let's say I don't want to see any department that has less than 40 employees working in such department. So let's say I don't want to see sports. I can use this aggregate column, that is this second column of number of employees, this very column. I can use this column to filter. Okay, so I can come down to say having count or greater than um, greater than 40. So having count or greater than 40, we are not expecting to see sports in this result. Once I run this, because we are saying we want any result that is greater than 40 to be here. So let's run and see what we have. You see, we don't have sport again. Why? Because sport is 34, is less than 40, and we want something greater than 40. You see, conveniently, we've been able to use where clause. We've also been able to use having. So, what is the takeaway from this tutorial? The major difference between where and having. We use where clause immediately after our from clause. And where clause is used to filter our result sets, okay? Based on a non-aggregate column, it could be department, it could be gender. Where clause can be used on any of the columns we have in the table. But having comes after group by. Where comes after from and usually before group by, but having comes after group by. And having is used to filter record based on aggregate columns. And this is an interview question. So you can be asked, what is the difference between a where and having? How do you use them? So it's simple. So where clause is used to set conditions or to filter your record based on the columns you have in a table, or the records you have in a table. And having is used to filter record based on an aggregate column. So anytime I want to filter my records, I want to filter a report, I want to filter my query based on an aggregate column like mean or max or count or average, all the aggregate functions that we have, we use having. So it could be having max. Let's say you have used max in your query. Maybe this is maybe max salary. Then what you use here is having max. Maybe what you use is mean salary. What we come here is mean, having mean. If you have used average, what will come will be average. We can look at some more examples where we can use all of this to filter. Okay, but what I really want, this is an introduction by looking at an example. Okay, so the takeaway from here is we use having to filter our result set based on an aggregate column. And what is the difference between having and where? Where is used to filter record, but it comes immediately after from, and is used to filter record based on non-aggregate columns. Those are the columns we have in the table. But having is used to filter record. It comes immediately after group by and is used to filter record based on an aggregate column. What are the aggregate columns that we might have? It could be mean, it could be max, it could be average, it could be counts, okay, it could be sum. So watch this tutorial again and again. This concept is very, very important. The concept of group by using aggregates functions is very, very important. You can't do without it because in an enterprise environment, you're going to be filtering records using where clause, using having a clause in different reports. So this is a concept that you don't want to joke with. So if it's going to take you watching this tutorial more than once, please do make sure that this makes sense to you before you move on to um, upcoming tutorials that will be uploaded. Okay. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be looking at more examples of how to use having. Okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.